A lot of times I read something, I see something, the first thing that pops into my head is, what the hell were you thinking? And this here is a case in point right here. Check this out. Right here. The guy hiking, the man who lost flip-flops in Death Valley was hospitalized for burned feet. Now that leads a serious question. What the hell was somebody doing just in flip-flops hiking around in that sand when sand on average is 25 to 30 degrees hotter than what the air temperature is? So I just want to quickly go over this because I thought this was nuts. This guy, clearly a tourist, clearly had never been anywhere this warm before. I mean, beautiful. I haven't been there myself and I want to go. It's one of the places I want to travel on a big summer road trip the one time. But we get to this here. Belgian man who was visiting Death Valley National Park was rescued via a helicopter on Saturday after suffering third-degree burns on the soles of his feet at the Mesquite Flat sand dunes. Now, according to the National Park Service, it was unclear if the unidentified 42-year-old had lost or broken the flip-flops he wore to the park, known to be one of the hottest places on Earth, on a day when the air temperature reached 123 degrees. That means that sand was most likely about 150 degrees. Okay, the low temperature on your oven for cooking stuff is 170. If you want to know, many of us, we've been to the beach in the sand on a hot day and it might only be 100 and you go on that sand. It might only be 90 and you go on that sand and you burn your feet. You don't walk to the water without something on your feet. And this guy was out in 123 degree temperatures in the sand in flip-flops. So that sand had to be near 150 degrees itself. And the low temperature on your oven is 170. Now let's get into this more here, because after the man's family and other guests to the park carried him to the parking lot, rangers determined it would be best to get him to the hospital quickly due to the pain and severity of his burns. Apparently they were very severe. They're talking like third degree. All right. Now, because of the extreme weather, the emergency helicopter wasn't able to land at that part of the park. So rangers had to drive him in an ambulance to a higher elevation where it was cooler, 109 degrees, where he was airlifted there to a Las Vegas hospital. Now, the issue with that is apparently it was so hot. He's walking on the sand in bare feet. Even if you're wearing flip-flops and your bare feet walking on that sand is absolutely ridiculous. But it was so hot. The helicopter could not risk coming down because it was so hot it might not get enough lift to get out of there again. Now, on a sand dune, the ground temperature is much hotter than in the air, and that's because sand doesn't require much energy to warm up, okay? It gets hot rather quickly. And with the sand's high density traps the heat, the result is a hot surface. Now, here you go. This is where you get it. It's probably 150. It's 90 degrees outside, for example. Sand temperatures will reach approximately 120 degrees, and that itself is enough to cause second or third degree burns in minutes. Now, that's the sand temperature at 120 because the air temperature was 90. The outside air temperature was 123 degrees that day. 123. So you're talking, wow, that sand was hot. You get down here, third degree burns on the feet can be devastating. They can be terrible. Now, a Silver Spring-based podiatrist, that's especially true for children or people with underlying medical conditions such as diabetes or neuropathy, she said. Then you got, oh shit. They go on more. Yeah, that's right. I'm not going to pronounce that. I'm going to screw that up. But man, I mean, you can suffer these burns just walking on pavement, even barefoot at the pool. It can happen, especially in these extremely hot temperatures. They say you should be testing the surface. So this guy didn't have a chance. But here's the thing. This guy was from Belgium. Okay, he was out there. He was vacationing from Belgium. Now, the hottest month in Belgium is July, same as around here. The difference is over there, the absolute hottest it usually gets is somewhere around 80 degrees. You know, low 20s for those that are listening in Celsius. So you're talking 80 degrees is a very hot day. And this was 123. Why anybody like that would choose to go out and hike in that weather, who clearly wasn't prepared, wasn't informed, and did not understand how dangerous it was, it really shouldn't have been out there in the first place on that day. You know, and now they say the flip-flops, you know, they're thin and flimsy and provide very little protection. Sports sandals have more support and stay secure to the feet are a better choice. Yes, I hate flip-flops, you know, or the slide ones that people wear. I see anybody wearing them damn things and you can slide them on, and all I think is prison shower shoes. No, I have not been in prison, but I had enough friends that have wind up going that way. And every time I see somebody wearing them things, my first question is, where and how much time did you do? Because I just assume that they've done time. Now, here's the thing. Travelers need to remember to use sunscreen for uncovered skin. For very hot destinations, more coverage, the better. And then they issued here the blanket statement. It's probably better to have your feet covered just to prevent against heat injury, sunburns, sharp objects, etc. Wear a light shoe. I mean, if you're worried about hot, take an extra canteen and wet your feet. Anything. Put on a thin socks inside them, nice sports sandals. That is okay. That is better. I mean, as it is, there were some warnings out for that time as it was. At the time, Death Valley Park Rangers also recommended summer travelers stay no more than a 10-minute walk from their air-conditioned car. Not to be more than a 10-minute walk from your car. And in that heat, 10 minutes is not that far of a distance. Okay, consume water, salty snacks, wear a hat and sunscreen, and do not go hiking after 10 a.m. Now, I don't know, it didn't say what time of day this guy was out there, but do not go hiking after 10 a.m. And now, of course, this isn't the first time that somebody in Death Valley suffered third-degree burns due to a lack of footwear. So apparently back in June 2017, a woman also in the Mesquite Sand Dunes burned the soles of her feet after walking half a mile barefoot, and she had to be treated at the hospital as well. And now, just last week, 4 people died of heat-related injuries in the U.S. national and state parks. Remember that, people. You go out somewhere, it is dangerous. You can't worry all the time. You're not always going to be better by doing these things. You have to be safe. You have to warn yourself, especially tourists. If you're a local and you're in the area and there's tourists from out of country and you're even from the area, or you live even nearby remotely and you're there yourself, give them the warning on where not to go. You tell people if you're in the mountains, stay off that mountain, stay off that trail. It's too dangerous if you don't live here, if you don't know the mountain itself. You don't go barreling out in the plains or down in a valley, or you don't go heading out in a big lake or out on the ocean if you don't know what you're doing. But I had to ask, like, what the hell was going through this guy's head when he decided to do this? I mean, I get it. If they broke, what happened? Did he not think about tying them to his feet with his shirt or something like that? Maybe he wrapped his shirt around it. I mean, quite frankly, you know, it sounds like the guy was by himself at first because he burned his feet trying to walk back and then his friends carried him. I don't know. I sure as hell hope he wasn't alone, because the way it sounds, if he was alone, it could have got very bad, because if his feet would have kept burning, he probably wouldn't have been able to walk on them anymore, which would have meant he basically would have laid down and burned in the sand and cooked in the sun. And it would have been nothing but some bleached bones out there in a short matter of time if nobody found him or came across him. And that's why I say all the time, in this world, as best as you can, stay safe.